The effects of trauma, the fine line between denial and healing. This is printed in the cptsdfoundation.org, written by Tanya Cordy, August 28th, 2024. Letting go comes in many forms, and letting go of denial can be an important one. It means letting go of what's stopping you from facing fear, anxiety, isolation, and disconnection, and growing and fully embracing your power. Fear and anxiety play a role in the short term to keep people alert in situations. However, they serve a short-term purpose and can become problematic when there's no real long-term threat or danger. It's when we get trapped in that we need to see how it stops us from healing. Just like with life's clutter, when we hit a soft spot around why they have the clutter out, there are many excuses, downplaying, blaming, and other comments that prevent them from facing the truth. For example, blaming a partner for not putting items away in the home is a reason for the clutter. Meanwhile, they have an excessive amount of belongings that they don't need or use. And then there's a long list of why they need to keep them, and there's no going around it. This creates a brick wall to get anywhere, because if something doesn't change, then the situation doesn't change. Without getting to the root of why things are the way they are, it's hard to address a situation fully. What is denial? One definition is that denial is a type of defense mechanism that involves ignoring the reality of a situation to avoid anxiety. Kendra Cherry talks about how you can't look at what's really happening or the consequences of your actions. If it's having trouble accepting something that seems like more than you can handle. Denial is a way to cope with something that seems just too big to deal with and impossible to change. Taking it slowly gives the person time to shine a light on the situation at the speed that allows them to address it bit by bit. Ideally, the slow process is with the help of someone where you can move through it with support, less stress, less confusion and overwhelm, and more clarity. Going back to the early example of the client who has too much stuff they don't need, it might be helpful to take micro steps at looking at beliefs and where they came from, and then letting go of the items. Just like shame, denial protects a person from what is just too much. We often associate denial with individuals who struggle with mental health and addictions. I'd like to let go of the labels and say that it happens to all of us in one way or another. Denial is someone struggling to deal with change, and this is called being human. Getting in tune with how you feel and what is going on in all areas of your life will help you discern when it's denial and when you're aware that things are unfolding in a way that doesn't require direct action. What are the signs of denial? I've reflected on, researched, and compiled some of the many ways denial shows up. 1. Downplaying the situation. 2. Denying family situations, a situation at work, or relationship dynamics. 3. You refuse to talk about a problem that's affecting you and or others. 4. You find ways to justify your behavior that's clearly causing harm in some way. 5. You blame other people or outside forces for causing the problem. 6. You persist in a behavior despite negative consequences. 7. You promise to address the problem in the future, but then don't. 8. You avoid thinking about the problem. 9. The person in denial often truly doesn't even see a problem. 10. Making excuses for your repetitive behaviors that cause chaos. How can you let go of denial? Decluttering goes beyond spaces and time wasters. Letting go is essentially letting go of what's making you heavy, stuck, or overwhelmed. With denial comes a story of why things are the way they are. These stories have been repeated, recycled, and reused for years. It's a way to not face what you're afraid of, and it's okay to avoid something that doesn't feel possible. Asking questions is a very powerful process that I've practiced for many years with clients. Other ways to deal with denial involve someone else. If you're dealing with a loved one or someone else in your life who is struggling and unable to face a particular situation, it can be helpful to involve a third party. This can be tricky, especially if the person isn't open to getting help in general, doesn't see a problem or a reason to speak to anyone, or is completely resistant to change. In those cases, you can focus on how it affects you, and speaking to someone is really about helping you deal with the situation. This allows you to own your part, let go of what they do, get your needs met, while maybe even creating some shift in perspective for the other person. Compassion, non-judgment, and listening. Often people don't open up because they don't feel safe, and they have a lot of shame around a particular situation they've been avoiding. Hence the reason for the denial. If you're able to come from a place of compassion, understanding, and true listening, then the other person will feel this and slowly open up. This is not reality TV, though, and having one long, intense conversation is not going to solve the problem. Rather, I invite you to get curious in tiny steps, making it easier for you to stay grounded and centered, and for the other person to feel safe enough to shift and open bit by bit. This goes for you as well if you're looking at your own avoidance and denial. And take care of yourself. What can you do to address the situation without taking care of everything in a codependent way? Is there a way that you can be of support and make sure that your needs are also being taken care of?